The year 2020 has been a strange year for me, as it has for most folk. In the past, I spent most of the summer months living out my car in the remote areas of the west of Scotland. This year, I have not been away much at all, in respect to the small communities that also have to live with the cough that carries us off. It was the last week in August before I decided to set out to see some of the more familiar areas for myself, and I was delighted to find places as I always knew them. Yes, there were some obvious changes, but the locals were as friendly as ever, and I saw no signs of any areas being overrun or trashed by staycationers. It made me wonder just how much the media like to sensationalise stories, especially with regards to COVID. I should say I was also on a mission. I was on my annual pilgrimage to meet up with some of the friendliest folk I know, the guys and girls that always make me feel at home and take me adventures in their fast boats. This year we were meeting up in Mallaig. It was a warm, windless but overcast morning when I arrived at Mallaig Harbour. I smiled happily when I saw the familiar sight of 4 ribs moored to the pontoons. Yep, it meant the guys and girls who own Bouncer, Mr Jingles, Raptor and Miss Isle had arrived in town. These are fast and very seaworthy boats, the largest outboard engine being 250 horsepower, while the smallest is 90 horsepower. But that boat has 2 90 horsepower outboards and not just one. They can go at speeds of around 50 knots, which is fast for a watercraft. Everyone arrived at the agreed meeting time and the boats were readied for the off. I was invited to sit on board a Raptor for the day, and moments later we cast off and were underway. Our plan for the day was very loose, with the idea of crossing to Skye, going round the Point of Sleat, heading for Elgo and then into Loch Scavaig to see the mighty Coolin. Then head through the Sound of Soy to land for a barbecue lunch in beautiful Loch Brittle. Leaving Mallaig in a flat calm sea with just a slight smur of rain in the air.
Speed bonny boat, like a bird on the wing, over the sea to Skye. Play me a song, of the lads that have gone, over the sea to Skye, 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 Skye.
Approaching the Strathayr Peninsula, I took the guys on a small detour to see the entrance of Spar Cave. In Victorian times it was a popular tourist attraction, and Walter Scott wrote about it in his poem Lord of the Isles. The landowner built a wall around the entrance so he could charge a fee to access the cave, but an unimpressed gunboat used the wall as target practice for its cannon, and knocked a hole through the wall which still gives access to the cave to this day. On this visit we didn't land, but it's well worth the effort for future visits, and this is a glimpse of the inside from a previous trip. Over many thousands of years, the running water from the roof has made lime stalagmites and stalactites which form fascinating pillars and columns. You can still make out dark patches in the roof, where the carbon burnt from Victorian flames torches stained the light-coloured lime deposits. It's a fascinating cave indeed. But then, so is the whole of the island of Skye, and although Skye is normally packed with tourists, Very few of them will see it from the sea. We were now rounding the Raptor Peninsula and were immediately blown away by the mighty Coolin Mountains, which dominated the stunning horizon. We stopped to slurp some coffee from a flask, while listening to the silence of the mountains surrounding Loch Scavaig. It's one of these places which make you feel very small and insignificant, regardless the size of the boat you're on. Then we slowly slid towards the calm waters of the Sound of Soy, leaving the mountains behind as little more than memories. Approaching Ruan-Dunain, at the mouth of Loch Brittle, we slowed to have a look at what is believed to be the remains of an ancient Viking ship harbour. On the cliff top is the ruins of a dun or keep, and beside it they dug a canal from the sea to an inland freshwater loch, where the ships were kept safe from winter storms. There's not much to be seen from the sea now, as the canal is full of boulders, but the loch is still there, and so is an ancient burial chamber. We then stopped at the entrance to Loch Brittle to catch some mackerel for our beach barbecue, and it didn't take long to land lunch, as there were plenty of fish around. Meanwhile, Miss Isle and Bouncer had surveyed the beach in Loch Brittle, but decided the water was too shallow for a long way out from the shore, making landing difficult, and also there were a bit too many tourists on the beach to enjoy the peace and quiet of the area. After a quick conflab about the best place to land for a beach barbecue, it was decided that a small sheltered shore on the island of Canna would be the closest, It was only 10 miles away and would only take minutes to get there on such a calm sea surface. So do come back and join us for a barbecue on this beautiful beach in part 2. We saw whales and many dolphins on the way, which made it all rather special. However, I'm heading off for another adventure tomorrow, so part 2 should appear next week sometime. Thanks for watching.